Testmaxxing changed my life because it's what made me progress every single step of the way through not only my diet, not only my lifestyle, not only my routines, but with my business, with my relationships, my libido, my energy. Everything has gotten better when you start to optimize your testosterone naturally. But so many of you guys are just doing it so improper. You're not doing the right things every single day. And that's why you're left with 300 tests. That's why you're left with 400 tests. And I used to think for a long time that that was okay. When I got my first testosterone result and I was 600 testosterone, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, oh, the range is 250 to 900. That's all right. Like, I'm in the middle. But then I see these documents of our ancestors all having 1,000 testosterone, our ancestors all being jacked and shredded because they were test maxing the most. When you're optimizing your lifestyle and your diet through the holistic approach, no peptides, no TRT, none of that bullshit, you will actually optimize your testosterone and your other hormones, specifically your thyroid, your free test, your SHBG, like all these hormones that I'm going to talk about in this video start to get optimized just because you ate better, you trained better, and you do all these little things, the small details properly. You're not drinking heavy metals, right? You're not drinking microplastics. You're not touching receipts. You're avoiding all the estrogens. You're not drinking beer. You're not having soy sauce. Like, you start to do all these things to really optimize your hormones. You feel better, you look better, and then you're confused why. It's like, bro, you did the inputs and you became holistic. And that's the whole idea behind test maxing. And I'm going to go over every single mistake that I've made so that you guys don't make these mistakes. Because I've been lifting and I've been optimizing my health, you could say, for 7 years. This is going to be 7 years of value in a 2-3 hour course. And this is a very important video. Like, if you learn all the things from this video and you apply the knowledge, I can guarantee you that you will change your life. But if you sit here and don't do anything about it, don't complain to me when you're 18-20% body fat. Bro, you are in control of every single input that you do. So all the information in this course, please take value from and apply it. Value that isn't applied isn't even knowledge. It isn't even wisdom. You didn't learn it. You didn't do anything with it. Understand this knowledge and apply it to become the best version of yourself. Because getting jacked and shredded is just part of it. You want to make more money. You want to level up your life. You want to be high test. That's the whole goal of high test. At the end of the day, is making sure that you can do everything to optimize your testosterone. This is what I look like when I started lifting, right? Skinny, 145 pounds. My bench, I've told you guys before, was 65 pounds. That was the first time I've ever benched, and it was 65 pounds. It was after lacrosse practice for middle school lacrosse. And we had tryouts, and the coach actually saw me bench 65 pounds, and I ended up getting cut from the lacrosse team. I actually had coordination. I was actually good, but the reason I got cut was because I was too small. I'm 5'10", 145 pounds. Like, what is this guy going to do on a lacrosse field? He has good genetics, right? Don't get me wrong. Look at my androgens. Look at my chest. I have good genetics, but I wasn't getting use out of all those genetics. And a lot of people think you have bad genetics, but when have you maxed out every single input in your life? Because a lot of you guys who think you have bad genetics don't have bad genetics. You have a bad system. You're lazy. You don't get the work done. You're not consistent. You're not disciplined. It's not your genetics, bro. Do not watch this video thinking that this can't be you because of your genetics or some sort of defect that you have. Bullshit. You have a thyroid problem? Bullshit. You have low testosterone? Bullshit. These are causes because of your inputs, because of your diet. And when I was 145 pounds, all I wanted to do was get bigger. Okay, how can I get bigger, right? Like Rich Piana. How can I get bigger? Maybe doing more, right? I wasn't lifting here. I wasn't focusing on protein. I wasn't doing all this stuff. And I'm going to prove to you guys why that shit was wrong. So I just talked about having more protein. It's bullshit. Having more protein is a bullshit made up bodybuilding statement at the end of the day to get you to eat more protein, but then your kidney gets chalked. You know, my kidney markers were high, my BUN, my creatine. Like, you don't want that shit too high. And people don't understand this. And this is why you have to understand your hormones and understand everything. And that's why I'm making this video for you guys. But you got to understand, you can make this transformation too. 215 pounds at 6'3" is a crazy difference, right? This version of me to this version of me, I look completely different. But it's 7 years of being consistent and slowly optimizing. You're about to get 7 years of knowledge. And if you actually apply it, you could make a transformation like this too. Look at my guy, Dan. Can't even see him on the right because I'm blocking him. But just look at his ab difference. Maybe I can move myself. Yeah, I can move myself. Look at the ab difference. Look at the definition. Look at the testosterone difference. He looks way higher test because he's applied my principles and he's been a client of mine for 6 months and he did exactly what I said. And if you do the things in here that I exactly say, you will get jacked and shredded too, bro. It's not that hard. Getting jacked and shredded is like the easiest thing in the world. And it's crazy that so many people aren't jacked and shredded in high test because it's so fucking easy. It's so simple. But simple doesn't mean easy because you're going to have to do the work. There's a lot of distractions out there. There's Chick-fil-A. There's McDonald's. There's Chipotle. There's, oh, my boys want to go to this place. Oh, we're having a wedding here. This distraction, you know, absolute bullshit, oils, blah, blah, blah. You know, I can keep going on. You have to be consistent and you have to be addicted to the lifestyle. Because I'm addicted, that's why I'm able to see progress like this. This is why my clients are able to see progress. If they come to me and they're addicted with something, it's going to be very easy to optimize. And I had this video a little while ago. I posted on Instagram and it was one of my clients asked me, when's the best time to hire a mentor? When's the best time to hire a coach? It's when you're consistent. When you can start to get some consistency, then get a coach. Because a coach isn't going to teach you consistency. I can yell at you every single day, but what's going to make you consistent is by having a purpose and having a passion. That creates consistency. Once you find that within yourself, then you want to hire someone to optimize yourself. But a lot of you guys aren't even optimized yet because you don't have a passion, bro. It doesn't matter how optimal you are. You have to be consistent. And so many of you guys are just leaving gains on the table because you have no passion. Create a passion in your life for this journey because it will level you up not only with your physique, but your relationship, your financial status, your career. All that stuff is going to level up if you optimize your hormones. So do it. And you have to have a passion for that. This is my testosterone results, 1467. This was 2 years ago. A lot of people ask me about my free test. My free test it's not low, right? Like it's in the middle. And the reason for my free test was because my SHBG was higher and my liver is damaged. The reason my liver is damaged is because when I was younger, I took Accutane for 2 years. That damages your liver. Oh, and then I go to college and drink for 3 years. That damages my liver. Not to mention the second time I was on Accutane, I was drinking alcohol. So my liver is a little fucked up. And I wish I didn't do that stuff. So if you're thinking about doing that stuff, don't do it because you don't want to end up like me. That's the worst thing that you can have happen in your life is live life with regret. So don't regret not dialing in your health sooner because you wanted to drink, because you wanted to eat bullshit, and then you're going to have to face the repercussions down the road. Because I wanted to drink, I wanted to eat a lot of bullshit food at the dining hall, and I have to take Accutane now because I have acne because I'm inflamed and my gut health is fucked up. Don't be like me. But you can see my testosterone was still high. My luteinizing hormone is off the charts because I know how to optimize it for a calorie surplus, higher carbs, raw honey at night, stuff like that. And I'm going to talk about how to optimize every single hormone in here later in this video. But this is just my test, right? And when you have higher DHEA, you can convert that into testosterone more. So you need to make sure that this high number is high too. Also look at my cortisol. Cortisol very low. Don't stress about cortisol. I'm going to tell you how to lower cortisol as well. Also, my IGF-1, you can see it was 229 here. Pretty good for someone who was 22 in this. I think I was 22 and a half, maybe 23. And then my vitamin D, I was getting vitamin D. I wasn't no supplements, only getting sun in Pennsylvania over the summer. 76 on a 30 to 100. So that's pretty good. And that's why, I mean, this was the winter after that, but that's what I look like. That's what I look like now. Because when you optimize your hormones, I don't track calories. I don't do a bunch of bullshit. I just eat the way that humans are supposed to eat, live an optimal lifestyle, don't cheat, and I look like this. It's that simple. And what you got to understand is testosterone in your hormones, they're a solar system. It's a solar system that you need to respect because a lot of people don't respect their solar system. Oh, estrogen. Okay, you're drinking beer every single day. Or not every single. If you're drinking beer every single day, bro, I don't know what you're doing. But maybe you're having beer on the weekends or a little bit of alcohol. Or maybe you go to this place and you get some like soy sauce, right? Or, oh, you have PFAs, like you're sleeping in polyester sheets, so your estrogen's just going through the roof. Your thyroid hormones, you're reducing your carbs, and that's going to tank your testosterone too. IGF-1. You need to understand that your hormones dictate you as a person. That is what your hormones do, right? This is why women, their hormones are different every single day. If any of you watching this video are in a relationship, you could probably relate to the fact that your girl has times where she acts different than other times, right? Because women, right before they ovulate, their LH is through the roof. Then after they ovulate, their progesterone or their estrogen starts to go up more right before their period, right? Their hormones are different every single day, so it causes different reactions with their mind, with their spirit. That's why girls are so emotional, because their hormones are never the same. The lucky thing about being a dude is every single day you wake up and you're the exact same. So if you don't feel the exact same, you have fucked with your hormones. You have fucked with your hormones, and it's fucking up how you feel. You should feel good every single day. You should feel high energy. You shouldn't be high stress. And that just comes down to your inputs. Your hormones dictate so much about you. It's how you feel. It's how you look. This is why guys nowadays, they're not as tall as back in the day. Lower testosterone. Guys nowadays, don't have as much facial development. Like analyze the skull density now to dudes 50 years ago. Testosterone, DHT, all of these hormones have decreased so much because of the modern diet, because of modern things that you can't even control, like your air quality or the water that you're drinking. You might not even know it, and you're fucking your testosterone. That's the problem. And that's why you need to be aware to these things and what testmaxxing is, because if you're not aware, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot, because for a long time, I was shooting myself in the foot. This is how most people look at things, right? Oh, if I want to grow muscle, if I want to better my health and be in more physical fitness shape, as you could say, I'm just going to drink protein shakes. I'm going to track my calories, calories in versus calories out, take a bunch of supplements, eat a bunch of vegetables, do some cardio, and I'm going to be healthy. Bro, I did that. I did the exact, everything on here I used to worship. Like it was my life. Tracking calories. I used to put a bowl onto the scale, zero it, scoop the Greek yogurt, sprinkle on some cinnamon, and be like, calories in versus calories out. And I felt like shit. My energy was shit. My focus was shit. Yeah, I was shredded. And that's the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand about hormones. Hormones don't dictate your body fat. Your body fat will dictate your hormones, but your hormones won't dictate your body fat. You can be shredded, but still have low testosterone and feel like shit. Because when I was at one of my most shredded states, when I was almost like 8% body fat, that's when my testosterone was the lowest. Right now, my body fat's like 11, 12%. And that's when I feel the best, because you need to be in between that 10, 12%. But you got to understand that doing this stuff isn't going to get you there. It's going to get you there, but you're going to feel worse, and then you're not actually going to solve the puzzle. The thing about testmaxxing is that you're solving the puzzle with how things were supposed to actually be, with how the world was supposed to develop your health and fitness naturally, because that's what you should be doing, the natural route for anything. This is 4 years of training, 4 years of tracking the calories, like I said, drinking protein shakes. That's what caused me to go on Accutane, drinking protein shakes every single day. And my mom would always say to me, oh, those protein shakes, they're giving you acne. I'm like, no, it's not, Mom. It's modern technology. They want to do that. fucked myself over. This is 4 years of training, and then 2 years after that, this is what I look like. Like, look at the difference. What's the difference? Testosterone. This is 600 testosterone. This is 1200 testosterone. I'm not training any harder here than here. I was training hard as shit here. When I'm 19 years old, going to the gym, looking like this, still somehow able to bench 275. But now I look like this because my hormones are way better. When you actually truly start test maxing, your life will change, your physique will change, and everything around you will change. And I'm going to go over all the mistakes that I made because I made a lot of mistakes. And if I'm able to sit here and tell you what mistakes I made, it's going to help you out down the road. So the first 1 to 2 years, this is my nutrition, right? High protein, high carbs, low fat. I used to think fat made you fat, and that's not the case. A lot of people think fat makes you fat. Fat's the most important macronutrient. It goes, I'm in a little between carbs and protein. I feel like you can't say one is better than the other because for their specific roles. But fat is it's the most important macro. It's the most important thing for your body. If you're not getting saturated fats with micronutrients and cholesterol, you're never going to have high testosterone, bro. So many people are lowering their fats. Like, bro, what are you doing? You're chalking yourself. I was having filler meals, protein shakes, protein bars. Oh, I would have the Quest protein bars. I would have the Premier protein bars. The Premier protein bars have like 3 ingredients of soy. Just absolute bullshit. I was oil maxing. Didn't know anything about seed oils. You know, I knew a little bit. I would see like some Paul Saladino and stuff, and I'd be like, oh yeah, seed oils are bad. But I wouldn't really like look at the ingredients and be like, oh shit, it has an oil. But that's why I felt worse. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh bro, you're crazy for always looking, you're a health nerd. You're a weirdo for doing all this stuff. It's like, is it weird for trying to be the best version of myself? Like the people that you're listening to are fucking bums. They're not shredded. They're not at the level that you want to be at. So why are you listening to them? Oh, taking your health more seriously is weird. Cool, bro. I don't want to be like you. I'm going to do my own thing because if I were like you, I'll get the same results as you. And that's not what I want. That's what you got to ask yourself when you want to lock in your health more. Because if you're listening to other people, you're never going to get anywhere. I would have pre-workout pretty much every single meal or before every single workout. Gorilla Mind and oh my gosh, Total War. That's what it was. Total War. Oh my gosh, bro. There's so much caffeine. And I was just tossing in random supplements. I'd be like, oh, ashwagandha, zinc, thinking that stuff was healthy, but it's actually worse for you. I don't know if this video is going to play.
Bitch, she's so thirsty. I'm finna pass her to the gang. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fuck the gang in this house. I ain't better go, I ain't hard. I ain't know the bitch with your brother.
Creatine plus beer. Creatine plus beer is what I was having. What am I thinking? Like, what am I genuinely thinking doing that? That's the most autistic shit ever, bro. And I thought that I was somehow healthy at the time. My lifestyle was shit, right? I was drinking, I was smoking weed, I was jerking off, barely getting any sun, doing BS activities. Like, your lifestyle has to be locked in if you want to be able to do this. And, my lifestyle wasn't optimal because I was at college. And the problem with college is, like, you get there and you're like, oh, I got 4 years to fuck around. Like, there's no fire under your ass. And that's why I think college is bullshit nowadays. You could agree with me or not in the comments, but I went to college for 4 years and it hasn't helped me be the person that I am today. Even when I had my 9-to-5 internship, I went to the job and all the stuff that I learned wasn't even applicable. Like, this stuff is going to be more valuable because you can actually apply it to your life and see better results. You'll probably make more money from this than actually going to college. So actually apply it, right? Because my lifestyle was shit. And if your lifestyle is shit right now, it's time to wake up. You could fix your diet, but if your lifestyle is fucked up, you're always going to fall off. You're always going to lose that consistency. And lifestyle is so important. And that's why subtracting is always going to be greater than adding. You don't make phones faster by downloading more apps. You often have to delete things, close things out for the phone to run faster. If you want to run faster, you need to subtract all the bullshit out of your life, bro. The drinking, the cheat meals, the weed, the nicotine, whatever the fuck it may be. Cut it out, bro. Cut it out because it's not making you a better person. And it's going to be hard to add things to optimize your life to become better when there's things holding you back. If I wanted to go do a broad jump right now and I had a 15-pound weight vest, I'd do way less of a distance than if I had no weight. A lot of you guys are walking around in life with a bunch of weight on you because you can't cut the bullshit habits. Cut out the bullshit habits, bro. I'm telling you right now, it's going to elevate your life. Questions I should have asked myself when I was in this process the first 1 to 2 years. Is this increasing my testosterone? I always ask myself that anytime I go somewhere. Is this increasing my testosterone? Because if it's not increasing your testosterone, you're wasting time, bro. You're probably not doing the right things. You could say, oh, am I increasing my testosterone going to this bar, pre-gaming with a bunch of beers? No, wow, who would have thought? Oh, am I increasing my testosterone eating this tofu, eating these vegetables? Oh, no, they have pesticides, anti-nutrients, pure phytoestrogens. Like, obviously not. How does my gut health react to this? Okay, how does my gut health react to a protein shake versus ground beef? Because every time I would have a protein shake, I'd be ripping ass. But I never had the thought to myself, how does this affect my gut? Because if it's fucking up your gut, it's fucking up your hormones and more importantly, your second brain. Your gut is always going to be your second brain. And this is why a lot of people have brain fog because their gut health is fucked. The more fucked up gut health you have, the more brain fog you're going to have. Understand that right now. So if you guys are like, oh, I don't know why I have brain fog. What do you eat in the morning, bro? Probably some absolute bullshit. Are the foods that I'm eating strictly calories, or are they actually energy components like micronutrients and cholesterol that my body can break down? Because I would have a lot of things that would be almost empty calories. Like if you look at a protein bar, it's filled with a bunch of sludge and just protein. Where are the micronutrients? Where are the cholesterol at? Like it's non-existent. So these foods are basically pointless. You'd be better off eating half a stick of butter than a protein bar. You would. Why? Because half a stick of butter has cholesterol. It has healthy fats. It has micronutrients. What does a protein bar have? It doesn't have any of those things. A stick of butter is always going to mog a protein bar. But if you went to your doctor and said that, they'd be like, no, that's absolute bullshit. If you asked your random friend, oh, no way, bro, half a stick of butter is so unhealthy for you, bro. Have fun having clogged arteries. You don't know anything about nutrition. Why do these foods actually increase my testosterone? Why was I not asking myself that question? Because I didn't know it. So now that you know these questions, ask yourself these questions. Why do these foods increase my testosterone? Oh, because it has micronutrients and it has cholesterol. Oh, this spring water has minerals like boron, like potassium, like magnesium. That's going to make me more hydrated, increase my testosterone in a natural way. Not some powders, some electrolyte powders or Gatorade or what is the other hydration brands? I don't even know. I don't even know them. LMNT, I guess that's like a powder. People use that shit. But they don't understand, is this thing actually increasing my testosterone or is it hurting it? Because sucralose, natural flavors, stevia, those are estrogenic compounds that lower your testosterone. So you're going to see less gains and you're going to have worse energy. Why don't you ask yourself these questions? Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you're too lazy. But you need to be asking yourself these questions because they're very important. And once I started asking myself these questions, I started to understand testosterone. I understood, okay, testosterone is a thing that your body produces by the signaling of your brain, from the hypothalamus to the pituitary to the testes to testosterone. And this is why my LH was high, because my pituitary is signaling a lot of production to the testes. That's what it does to tell your testes to produce more testosterone. Oh, here's luteinizing hormone to then signal to this. Okay, so my luteinizing hormone is high, so my testosterone is going to be high. It's a very simple process when you break it down, but a lot of people don't understand this. And that's why you need cholesterol, because when your LH cells signal to your balls to produce testosterone, you also need the building blocks. You need cholesterol. You need other micronutrients that are going to speed up the process. And that's why these foods are so beneficial to optimizing your testosterone. There's a lot of guys out there that say, oh, there's no specific food that will increase your testosterone. Bullshit. Look at a fucking ribeye steak. You don't think a ribeye steak is going to boost every single man who has 200 nanograms of testosterone right now? If every man who has 200, 300 testosterone had a ribeye steak every single day, they would at least go up 150, 200 nanograms minimum. Unless they're just absolutely binge drinking on the weekends or something, that would happen because you're giving yourself the building blocks to actually produce more testosterone. It's a very simple process. But when these guys who drink protein shakes or, even take hormones and stuff tell you, oh, it's not possible to increase your testosterone naturally, it's bullshit. Don't listen to them. They're bullshitting to you because maybe they're trying to sell their protein powder. Maybe they're trying to sell their supplements, but it's all bullshit because the only thing that's not bullshit is the way that nature intended you to do it. That's not bullshit because we live in nature. It's proven that it's not bullshit. It's proven that red meat can't get you heart disease because when did humans ever in nature experience that? 200 years ago. Oh, but our ancestors only lived to 30 years old. Bro, our ancestors were living in the wild hunting each other. You fucking dumbass. Makes absolutely no sense. Important test boosting principles that I learned after understanding testosterone. Vitamin D synthesis is more important than you think. Vitamin D is not a vitamin, it's a pro-hormone. So the more sun you can get, the higher your testosterone is going to be. Don't get burnt, but the more vitamin D you can absorb and then actually produce testosterone through the synthesis of the cholesterol on your cells by eating more red meat, the higher testosterone is going to be. Thyroid and testosterone correlate together. You need to be optimizing your thyroid and your testosterone. Zinc, B vitamins, cholesterol need to be prioritized. What has the most B vitamins? Red meat. What has zinc? Red meat and eggs. What has cholesterol? Red meat and eggs. High estrogen can limit your testosterone. If you have high estrogen, it's always going to hold back your testosterone. I know a lot of guys who are dialed in but still have higher estrogen. You can't be having high estrogen or else it's going to be fucking up your hormones. Also, stress binds to the receptors that testosterone binds to. So if you have high stress, chronic stress, that is going to bring down your testosterone as well. So make sure that you understand all these principles because if you don't, you're probably lacking with something that can be holding back your testosterone and more importantly, holding back your energy, your gains in the gym, your focus, your drive, your libido, all that stuff, because that's the whole purpose of testosterone. It's not just to see gains in the gym because our ancestors never cared about that, right? Our ancestors never cared about seeing more gains in the gym. Now in a modern society where you need to go pull a girl that's high value, yeah, you got to be jacked and shredded. But that's not how it was a long time ago. But that's what you need to optimize for now if you want to live an optimal life. But also our ancestors were focused on being high libido, high energy, high drive, because that's what they were thriving for on a daily basis. So that's what you need to understand. Implementations that you can make just from that alone is walking in the sun more. Go on a morning walk, get shirtless, sun, consume more beef and eggs, get 8 hours of sleep, be 100% clean, no 80-20. Work on other areas of your life just as much too. Not just your health and your nutrition and your training. Work on your routines, bro. Work on planning out your day. Work on your mindset. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. So that's why this also has to be locked in. This is why your health and fitness has to be locked in. Because if your health and fitness isn't locked in, you're going to not see the results that you want in other areas of your life because you're going to lack in some other area of your life. So make sure that everything that you do in life is high energy, is 100% effort, because that is how life is meant to be as a man. That is actually high test. What's not high test is just going to the gym and, following a diet and stuff and then not trying to level up other areas of your life, because that's not what you want to do as a man. You want to progress in every area of your life. And that's why your health and fitness also has to be locked in. Because if you want to progress in your career, progress in your relationship with God or your wife or whatever, You need to be 100% locked in with your diet and your training as well. Now, years 3 and 4 were a little bit more advanced. I started to become a little bit more advanced in actually understanding what can help you. Now, don't get me wrong. This is where my testosterone was 600. This is where my testosterone was maybe a little above 600, but nothing crazy. It's not 1400. I mean, I'm still, look at my body fat here. I'm still like 17% body fat. A lot of people think, oh, you see those shoulder striations. My shoulders were big. Bro, look at my chest. Look at my, like, I'm covering the love handle right here. This is 17% body fat. Here, little bit better lighting, but still maybe like 15% body fat. Like, I wasn't lean. I wasn't actually high test. Look at my hair. My hair is so straw because I wasn't using a shower head filter. Like, that alone was just chalking my hair. That alone could make your hair thick and actually grow back. A shower head filter, because you're cutting out chlorine, you know, all these other bullshit things. It's something that you need. And now it's just a Gym Bro 2.0. There was no trial and error. It was just copy and paste. Because I would see these guys online like Alex Eubank, Sush, who I watched a lot, all these other guys. And that's why I got into like drinking Gorilla Mine and having the Rise pre-workouts and all that stuff, is because I saw these guys doing it and I thought that because they look good, that's how I'm going to look. And the problem with social media, they can look good, but how do they feel? Alex Eubank, back in his natural days, had 300 testosterone. He's on TRT now. What happened? He followed the Gym Bro lifestyle, and that's what made him feel like shit. And then I copied him, and I felt like shit. If you copy these guys online who don't actually tell you how they feel and how they look, they might just be lying to you. Whether that's, you know, supplements, other compounds, whatever the fuck it may be, they could be lying to you, right? Are a lot of guys able to sit here and do a 2-hour presentation? No, because they don't have energy. They don't have focus. You got to ask yourself these questions, because with no logic comes no progress. I was following everyone else doing the Gym Bro shit when I saw these primal guys who had more logic, but I was just like arrogant. And that's why I didn't see the results that I wanted at the time. My nutrition was bullshit too. Like, I was having deli meats pretty much every single day, clean protein, but it was a bunch of carbs, egg whites, eating 20 eggs a day pretty much, too much polyunsaturated fat, also cooked in oils, red meat not that frequently, nuts, almonds, Chipotle 1 or 2 times a week, and eating desserts. You see this diet and it doesn't look that bad. You see the egg whites, 20 eggs a day, red meat, like, oh, it's not bad, but it's not optimal, right? Like, deli meats is bullshit. You know, I was having bullshit carbs like dirty pasta, Rice Krispie treats before the gym, you know, nuts, almonds, trail mix. I was eating a lot, Chipotle. Like, I had these cheat meals, and cheat meals aren't going to get you far. Snacking's not going to get you far. It will get you a certain result, but it's not going to make you actually the best version of yourself, not only physically, but mentally. So that's why you have to 100% lock in your diet, because I still look good, right? I showed you that picture of what I look like, and I still look good, but I was eating a bunch of bullshit, and my lifestyle was also bullshit. 80-20 habits, mindset was not locked in, less drinking, less smoking, very little smoking actually. I was only smoking a couple times, but my sleep was fucked up. I was still drinking, I was still partying. I don't know if I can click on this video.
Yo, this is why we cracked out all day. The games! Ew!
Oh, there's a little left there, though.
Guys, I'm snorting pre-workout at a college campus before I go out to drink alcohol at 9 p.m. at night. My lifestyle wasn't locked in. If your lifestyle is not locked in, you have to lock that in first, because you are going to waste a bunch of time beating around the bush because you're trying to lock in things, but your lifestyle just won't allow it. You have to have your lifestyle locked in. It's the most important thing. If there's one thing that you need to get out of this video, is your environment will affect you and your lifestyle will affect you. If you don't have those two things truly optimized, or at least trying to better those two things, it's going to be hard to succeed. And a lot of people ask me, oh, what do I mean by lifestyle? Lifestyle is a mindset. That's what a lot of people don't understand, is mindset is your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is your mindset. So what you see is what you believe in, is what you will do. So your lifestyle is the people that you surround yourself with, the actions that you take every single day, the mindset that you have, and the habits that you create. That's all that lifestyle is. So fix those things so you can optimize your lifestyle. Because when I was hanging around people who wanted to snort pre-workout, go to the bars, party, do a bunch of bullshit, that's when I was not the best version of myself. But when I surrounded myself with people who were entrepreneurs, wanted to level up, wanted to get more jacked and shredded, hit bench PRs, what do you think happened? My life got better. And that's how you optimize your lifestyle, is by optimizing your environment and switching your mindset. Questions I should have asked myself. Why is my libido so low at 21? Because I remember my libido wasn't high. I'm not saying that I wasn't attracted to girls, but it wasn't like the way that it should have been. When you're 21 years old, that's when your testosterone and your libido should be the highest, but it wasn't really that high compared to now, because I actually wasn't doing things right, of course. I was 600 testosterone. And I should have asked myself, is 600 testosterone high? Because the truth is, if you're not above at least 850, 900, you're not high, bro. I think it's a requirement to at least be 750 to wake up bricked. If you want to wake up bricked in the morning, you got to be at least 750. If you're not 750, you're probably not going to be waking up bricked in the morning. I've had people ask me that before, and I think that's the threshold, because I've had clients say, oh, I'm not waking up bricked, but they're like right below that number. And then usually clients that start to get above that number, they're like, oh yeah, I can definitely notice like I'm starting to wake up bricked. A lot of people are like, oh bro, that's weird to talk about or something. It's like, bro, it's your natural instinct. Like, men should be waking up bricked in the morning because that's your libido and that's your energy. So make sure that that's happening to you. Why do I get sunburnt so easily? Was another question that I never asked myself. Because I would go out in the sun for even 20 minutes and I would get burnt. And I used to think it was my genetics all the time, but it was because of my inflammation. My inflammation was way too high. I was very inflamed from all the seed oils, all the processed bullshit, the protein bars, all that stuff. And then I had a bunch of acne to go along with that. So I had to actually look into what causes acne. And I want to give a quick breeze through on what's actually going to cause acne, because acne is something that you should never deal with as a man because it's not natural. Whether you're a man or you're a female, like, you shouldn't be dealing with acne because it's not a natural response. It's a natural response to something that's fucked up in your gut. Your gut is the determining factor of your acne. When I had acne here, I was drinking protein shakes. When I had acne here, I was drinking protein shakes. I looked shocked. And I would go up to women, and I would not go up to women, but I'd be in high school, I'd be talking to women, I'd be like, oh, why is this girl not attracted to me in the way that I want? It's like, bro, look at this. It's going to be hard to attract the woman that you want. And this shit will literally fuck you up. I still have scars from having acne. So lock in your diet, lock in your lifestyle, whether you're younger, whether you're older, so you don't deal with shit like this. The gut is the second brain. Anything that causes bloating, farting, or other gut irritations can cause acne. Everyone thinks, oh, high testosterone will cause acne. It's going to make your face more oily. No, you're eating some bullshit. And the truth about acne is it's weird because some people can get acne and some people can't get acne from different things. Everyone's gut is different. It's like an environment, right? Your gut is an environment, and everyone's gut is a different microbiome. So everyone's gut is going to react to different things. Some people can get acne from rice. Sometimes if I eat rice, I will get acne. Some people will get acne from raw milk. A lot of, the Chinese culture or the Chinese heritage cannot drink milk because it wasn't really a thing in their country. In China, it wasn't really like, cows weren't really that popular. So a lot of Chinese people don't have the actual gut microbiome to handle raw milk. So what you need to understand is your gut is different. So understand what could be disrupting your gut and what isn't. It's very hard for meat to disrupt your gut. It's probably not possible. You're never going to find a time where you just have a little, fatty ground beef and that disrupts your gut. So pay attention to these things, because not only will your gut health fuck it up, but your stress as well. You can see right here, your stress is also a huge signifying factor. So make sure that your stress is not high as well. Now, years 5 to 6, These were years where I actually started to see significant progress because I actually started to lock in. I started to wake up. I started to watch other people around me that were actually giving information, kind of like what I talked about before. Logic is power, and logic is what you need to go by. They were giving logical explanations to where it made me feel dumb of what I was doing right now. And the understanding process comes from where true nutrition lies. The lies I was told before, who to believe, who to learn from, and does it actually work? Because when you ask yourself these questions, you'll start to unveil the truth of where true nutrition and true health lie. There's still a lot of haters on my Instagram page because they're dumb. They don't believe true nutrition. And it's going to take you forever if you're arrogant, if you're naive, or if you believe things easily. Because I was believing things very easily when I started because I didn't really care. But when you start to care more, you'll start to question things way more often. I started to listen to people like Paul Saladino, of course, and Sobro. Sobro was very niche at the time, but he talked about even like eating a little bit raw beef. But he was talking about getting sun, polyester underwear, all that stuff. So I started eating beef every single day, noticed better energy. I cut out all the inflammatory foods to allow me to start getting tan. Started to put on tan, cut out all the vegetables, fix my gut health, and I started to debloat too. Like my acne was gone, my gut health was good, I wasn't bloated. I started to implement tiny hacks that added up over time. And these are the small hacks that I started to do. I switched to only cotton clothing. I switched to cotton underwear. My hygiene got revamped, organic deodorant, coconut oil as toothpaste, baking soda one time a week, wooden toothbrush, no hair products anymore. I just use water and that's literally it. Sweat and water. That's all I do in my hair. My hair feels really good and it's really thick, right? A lot of people in my age are starting to bald because they're putting bullshit products in their hair and etc. All these things. Clean water, reverse osmosis and spring water mogs, grounding every single day to lower the stress, because when you're grounding, you get your feet into the ground and you're grounded into earth, the most natural thing possible, earth, right? So going out and grounding to reduce your stress, to balance your electrons is so powerful. And I didn't think that it really worked, but when you do it consistently every single morning, it feels amazing. Threw away all pans aside from cast iron and stainless steel. Just started to do all these little hacks. And these hacks add up when you start to optimize your lifestyle, because you can't just do these things and still be drinking and stuff, because you're not going to get anywhere. And that's what I kind of realized after I started to lock in my lifestyle more. I was like, okay, these things only matter because I cut that shit out. And that's what you need to realize. After following, other people's advice, doing my own trial and error, I remember after doing this testmaxxing lifestyle for probably like 6, 7, 8 months, even, I went and got a testosterone test. I had to go to my doctor. I had to tell them that I had low libido or else they wouldn't check it. Went in, got a testosterone test, and it was 1326. And that's when I knew these things worked, because my testosterone was so high and I felt it. My libido was higher. My energy was higher. I was looking better. But this was just the start of my journey. This was just the start of everything that I could have started to learn. And that's the thing. You just need to start, because you're going to learn things along the way. But if you don't start, you're not going to get anywhere. I started forming new questions. Do calories actually matter? Right? When I was eating 600 testosterone and I was eating 1900 calories a day, why was I getting less shredded than when I'm 1300 testosterone eating 3,500 calories a day, 4,000 calories a day? Because hormones affect everything. And why do hormones matter more than calories in versus calories out? Because it does. Hormones are everything. That's the whole purpose of this video. If you don't optimize your hormones, you're going to be wasting time. Don't waste time like me. What actually is a calorie? Is a calorie in a Twinkie the same as a calorie in, whatever the fuck, like a ribeye or an egg? No. What is a calorie? A calorie is just a unit of energy, right? A lot of people think, oh, calories in versus calories out matter, but you can't ever determine how many calories in and how many calories out you're getting, because everyone's metabolism and everyone's testosterone is different. So not every calorie is going to be the same. Now, the body does burn calories. Yes, you are exerting actual energy to raise your hand up, to go for a walk, to do all these things. You're burning calories, but it's about how efficiently your body is burning calories. And that comes down to your thyroid and testosterone. These are the two factors that are affecting how efficiently you burn calories. So you can have high testosterone, but if your thyroid isn't optimal, guess what? You're still not going to be burning as many calories as if your thyroid was actually optimal. So your thyroid and testosterone are going to determine how efficiently you burn calories. Think of it like this, right? Calories are calories, but you can't look at them that way because everyone's hormones are different. So everyone can handle a certain type of calories, and that is based off of your BMR. How much flame does the fire actually have? Some people don't have as much flame because, oh, maybe you reduced your carbs too much. You know, we were talking about this. Your thyroid was probably not optimal because your carbs were just so reduced. So we had to increase the carbs a little bit because you were just not having enough carbs. So that is where your BMR is getting suppressed by your thyroid. So when you optimize your thyroid and you increase your testosterone, it's like adding gasoline to the fire because you're burning more calories, but the calories that you eat are just being converted more into energy as opposed to just being used as fat or being useless calories, right? Because there are useless calories and there are useful calories. That's what a lot of people don't understand. That's why the calorie analysis is so important, because you'll see these studies of people, oh, they had 1,800 calories and they lost just as much weight as someone that had 1,800 calories of a steak. That's absolute bullshit. Because the way you're going to be unhealthy from eating 1,800 calories of Twinkies is because you're literally starving yourself. You're eating 1,800 calories with something that has absolutely no micronutrients. The less micronutrients you have, the more you're starving yourself. So if you only ate 1,800 calories of Twinkies, yeah, you're going to lose weight because you're basically starving yourself, but you're also fucking your insulin and all these other hormones because you're eating a Twinkie and you're not actually eating real food. So that's why 1,800 calories of Twinkies doesn't equate to 1,800 calories of steak. 1,800 calories of steak doesn't equate to 1,800 calories of a protein shake, because you can't compare the calories of real food, because calories are how useful it can actually be. So when it has micronutrients, when it has cholesterol, when it has all these minerals, that's what speeds up your thyroid. That's what increases your testosterone to burn more calories. So how do you optimize each hormone? That's the biggest presentation. And I wanted to talk about calories before we get into this, because when you actually understand what calories are used for, you can optimize each hormone more properly. Because a lot of people think, oh, if I eat more calories, I'm going to get fat. But no, you're optimizing your thyroid so you can burn more fat. That's the way that you need to be thinking. So how do you optimize each hormone? So luteinizing hormone comes from a good carb and fat balance, sufficient calories. If you are in a calorie deficit or you're not eating enough calories, your luteinizing hormone will be suppressed. And if you ever have any questions about this, go get your blood work done and see where your luteinizing hormone is. It needs to be high. If your luteinizing hormone is high, you're going to produce more testosterone. My luteinizing hormone was literally off the charts. It was like 8.9 on a like 3 to 8.5 scale. My luteinizing hormone was so high because I was eating enough carbs. I was training heavy. I was getting enough sleep, and I wasn't in a calorie deficit. I was eating enough calories. Every time I've gotten a blood test, I've been eating a lot of calories, because you got to make sure that your thyroid and your testosterone are all the biggest thing that can kill the testosterone and metabolism is calories. If you're not eating enough calories, those things will start to shut down, because that's what they're sufficient off of. So that's the most important thing when it comes to luteinizing hormone, is making sure that you're eating enough calories on a daily basis. If your luteinizing hormone isn't where it wants to be, increase your calories And even specifically your carbs. Increase your carbohydrates by 50, 70 grams of clean carbs like juices or even just pieces of fruit. Add 50 to 70 grams of carbs from that and see if that affects your luteinizing hormone, because that's going to be the biggest thing. And then, of course, there's hacks like I've talked about, raw honey before bed. Raw honey has been shown to increase the luteinizing hormone based on, these specific enzymes that are found in the raw honey. And I believe it. Like, raw honey is a superfood. If you use it the right way, it's going to optimize your Leydig cells, and then it's going to increase your testosterone. So those are the little hacks, but the biggest thing is making sure that you're eating enough calories. Now, a huge thing when it comes to eating more calories too is making sure that you're avoiding estrogen, because I kind of talked about this in a reel the other day where I got dates from a farmer's market and then I got dates from the grocery store. Like, the dates with the grocery store had a bunch more pesticides. So when you're eating higher quality foods, especially in the honey and fruit department, honey, fruit, and egg department, those are the three categories where you need to be eating the highest quality of foods. A lot of people are just like, oh, grass-fed and finished ground beef. The beef isn't that much of a difference, honestly. Cows have 3 stomachs. They're able to process out a lot of the bullshit. If you're eating corn and soy ground beef compared to grass-fed ground beef, there's not going to be a huge difference compared to if you're getting local organic fruits with no pesticides, local organic honey, raw honey with no pesticides, corn and soy-free eggs. Those are going to matter more when it comes to being local, because eggs, if they are fed corn and soy, they have more omega-6. If you give a cow more corn and soy, the fat barely has any more omega-6, and omega-6 is bad for your thyroid. So eggs are the most important thing. And then fruit and honey, you don't want those carbohydrates to have pesticides, because that's going to suppress your testosterone, and then it's going to slow down your metabolism. So these are the 3 foods that you need to make sure that are organic as possible. These are the most important foods. Everyone thinks, oh, grass-fed beef, raw milk. Those things don't matter about being grass-fed nearly as, organic and local as honey, fruits, and eggs. So these are the 3 foods that you need to make sure, because you don't want microplastics, you don't want pesticides. Those are so estrogenic, and they don't just go through your body, they stay in your body. So you want to be avoiding that estrogen as much as possible. And then optimizing your fruits. You know, focus on hydrating fruits, that no pesticides, and that you're not eating the skin, because the skin is where there's fiber, there's plant toxins. The whole purpose of the skin is to protect the fruit. So you want to find fruits that you're not eating the skin. Cantaloupe, watermelon, oranges, pineapple, papaya. Like, those are the best fruits that you can, even kiwi. Kiwi's a little acidic, so I don't really like eating that many kiwis. But the thing about those fruits as opposed to grapes and strawberries is, one, they have less fiber, but they also have less pesticides. Like, even if a fruit is organic, it still has a bunch of pesticides. So just try to get the most optimal fruits that will hydrate you and will have the least amount of pesticides. And that's why they break it down into the clean 15 and dirty dozen. That's why these fruits are broken down, because you want to, especially in 2026, stuff at the grocery store is getting worse and worse. So if you're not optimizing for the right things, you could be fucking over your hormones. Next is estrogen. Avoiding all PFAs, no bullshit products. High quality of sleep is something that a lot of people miss when it comes to lowering your estrogen. Oh, why is my estrogen so high? Bro, how is your sleep been? If your sleep is, think of it like this, right? If you would ever not get sleep as a kid, you would notice, like, those days you would be, like, more pissed off. Like, you'd be more cranky when you were, like, a kid in, like, elementary school, middle school. If you didn't get sleep that night, or, someone woke you up from a nap, that's a one thing. If someone ever woke you up from a nap when you were a kid, you get, like, pissed off and you'd be cranky because your estrogen's higher because you're not getting enough sleep. That's why estrogen makes you moody. So when you don't get enough sleep, you actually are increasing your estrogen. So sleep is a huge thing, 8 hours every single night. And then the little hacks that I kind of talk about to compensate the higher estrogen: eating more carrots, raw carrots. Of course, like I said before, carrots, potatoes are the only vegetables that I would really eat, maybe bell peppers, sometimes tomatoes, but all these things have to be local from farmers markets, or else you're just going to be fucking over your hormones. Also, more aromatase. So how to aromatase estrogen, carrots block endotoxins, cigars block estrogen from being converted into estrogen, or block estrogen from being converted, or testosterone being converted into estrogen, because that's what aromatase actually does to the body. It stops testosterone from being converted into estrogen. So cigars are going to be a big thing that can lower that conversion rate. Also, lowering your body fat. I think a lot of people don't understand that you're going to have more estrogen if you're higher body fat, because that is what body fat holds. That is why you always have to be between 10 and 12% body fat. If you're not between 10 and 12% body fat, you're going to have more estrogen and you're going to be lower testosterone. This is why I always say the most important factor for high testosterone is going to be your body fat level, 10 to 12% body fat. And all of you guys need to be working towards getting a 10 to 12% body fat if you're not there yet, because that's the most important thing. Also, keeping your adrenals low. I've talked to a lot of you guys about lowering the fasting window, stop fasting as much, don't have coffee on a fasted stomach, because that's going to increase your adrenal glands, and that's going to actually increase your estrogen. So the lower you can keep your adrenal glands from spiking your cortisol, whether that's waking up very early, having fasted butter coffee, doing nicotine, whatever it may be, the lower you can keep your cortisol and adrenal glands, the lower your estrogen is going to be. They have a direct response between your estrogen, and a lot of these things also come back to the nervous system, because your adrenal glands are the nervous system. So making sure that your nervous system is optimized is also a huge portion of controlling your estrogen. So, no doom scrolling, no getting cheap dopamine, all that stuff is going to affect your nervous system. And then that's going to affect your adrenal glands, which is going to affect your estrogen. Kind of see how all these things interloop. And that's why you have to do everything 100%. And then cortisol, lowering your cortisol. Morning detox is the biggest thing. I know so many people that just can't detox from their phone or any sort of dopamine in the morning. The more in the morning you can go without any sort of dopamine, the lower your cortisol is going to be. This morning, I went for a walk, and what happened was I went for a walk, and I walked to this lake, and then I just looked at fish on the walk. I walked 30 minutes back, looked at fish, didn't get any dopamine, just went out in nature. That is my definition of a morning detox. And if you do morning detoxes, your cortisol is going to be way lower because you're getting natural serotonin. And if you can consistently do that through your routines, your cortisol is going to be way better. And the only way that you're going to have a perfect routine is by having perfect sleep. So that's why all these things need to be dialed in. But you also have to understand a lot of people are mentally scared of cortisol. You see all the time online, cortisol bad, cortisol bad. Cortisol necessarily isn't a bad thing, because there's chronic and there's a spike in cortisol. If you go to the gym, you get a little spike of cortisol, but then it's gone. Right? Because your serotonin goes up after the gym and you feel good. It's just a little spike in cortisol. Sprinting, you get a little spike of cortisol. But there's a difference between a spike in cortisol and chronic cortisol. And chronic cortisol is only from, either not giving your body enough energy, which can be through your diet and not eating enough. That could be another thing. But also your mentality. If you have the mentality of, I'm always stressed all the time, this is increasing my cortisol. I always talk about in videos and stuff, this is increasing your cortisol, this is spiking your cortisol. But if you have the mindset where cortisol is your downfall of life, you're always going to have high cortisol. I'm stressed about this. I'm stressed. Yeah, bro, you're going to be stressed because that's all you're thinking about. So another huge thing when it comes to cortisol is mindset. Because if you have a bad mindset about cortisol, that's going to raise your cortisol. And that's why when I got my first 2 blood tests, that's why my cortisol was low, because I didn't even know about cortisol at the time. I didn't have anything really stressful in my life. So when you don't really know about cortisol, it's okay, how is your cortisol going to be high? That's the problem with the internet now, is everyone talks about cortisol and everyone's stressing about it. It just makes you more stressed. Just do natural things that give you natural serotonin, detox your body from artificial shit in the morning, and your cortisol is going to be lower. So that's the most important thing when it comes to cortisol. And the whole thing about cortisol is going to always be derived based off your sleep. The better your sleep is every single day, the lower your cortisol is, because cortisol just comes from the stress of the body. And if you can't compensate it with recovering at night through your sleep, your stress is going to be higher. So sleeping in a cold room. When I don't sleep in a cold room, my cortisol is way higher. You know, I have my room set, or we have this house set to 67 degrees all day long. A lot of people are very cold in that temperature, but 67 degrees because my sleep is so good. Because the colder your sleep is, the better your sleep is going to be. I also don't have any mental stress before bed that can interrupt dreams. A lot of people have, you got to understand that your dreams are just a depiction of your thoughts throughout the day. So if you have positive thoughts, you're going to have good dreams. Like the only time that you were a child and you would have nightmares is maybe when it would thunder or something. Because, oh, now you're in a negative mindset. That's why you have, nightmares or something. The only reason you might have stressful sleep, or you're waking up in the morning, or you're waking up in the middle of the night, is because whatever you're thinking before bed, you're stressing your mind out. You're stressing out, oh, I got to do this work project. I got to wake up at this time to go to work. Bro, think about all the shit that you did that day and enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of be grateful for everything that you did that day. That's why every time when I lay in bed, I always think, okay, what am I grateful today that I did? And then I kind of run through my day, like every hour of the day, what I was doing, because it gives you that gratitude. And when you have that gratitude, it's hard to be stressful. So that's a tip that I would do for anyone that feels like they're having stress before bed. Also, just sleeping on a firm surface is a huge game changer. A lot of you guys just don't have the sleep that you want because you're waking up in the middle tight, and you need to be sleeping on a more firm, soft surface. I can tell you that right now, because ever since I switched to my Japanese futon bed on the plywood, my sleep has been way better in the fetal position, because that allows your fascia to actually loosen. If you're laying on your back and you're laying on your stomach, your body's still getting compressed. The only way you can decompress your body is by sleeping in the fetal position. And then no phone 30 minutes before bed, of course. Talk about this all the time. If you're getting dopamine before bed, you're fucking your brain. You're getting more prolactin, you're spiking your dopamine, and that is not what you want to do before bed. So those are the big takeaways when it comes to sleep. Next is free testosterone, because everyone wants to know how to optimize your free test. And it comes from training heavy. The biggest thing for free testosterone is making sure that you're going heavy, because that's not only going to increase your luteinizing hormone, but it's going to increase your free testosterone. So 2 reps, 4 reps, 6 reps, anything under 6 reps where you're actually going heavy to failure is going to stimulate more free testosterone. Adequate carbs is also a big thing, because when your thyroid hormone is more elevated, your carbs are going to be more necessary to then be used for energy to then convert free testosterone in your body. So you need to make sure that you're having adequate carbs in your diet, but of course, clean carbs. Also, high DHT. You need to make sure that you're optimizing your DHT. More sun, low heavy metals. Those are the biggest things that will increase your DHT. A lot of guys are getting screwed over from having lower DHT because they're getting too many heavy metals in their diet, whether that's through your water. There's other things that you can be getting heavy metals through. I guess another thing is, what type of like fruits you're eating and all that stuff. Like all that stuff will have heavy metals depending on what you're eating. So make sure that you're avoiding heavy metals. A lot of people say, oh, you can detox heavy metals from the sauna and stuff, but the sauna isn't actually a good thing. The only reason you detox heavy metals from the sauna is because you shouldn't have heavy metals in your body to begin with. The sauna is going to lower your sperm count, so never do that. And also lowering your prolactin. A lot of guys have high prolactin, and what usually causes high prolactin is dopamine. So when you get a lot of dopamine, you get more prolactin to your body. So if you can avoid cheap dopamine tasks, your free test is actually going to be higher. So not waking up and scrolling, not having a snack when you want to, like delaying that dopamine so that your prolactin is lower, so that your free test is higher. That's how all these things kind of combat with each other. I could relate thyroid hormone to LH. I could relate free test to estrogen. What you guys need to know is that all these hormones are intertwined. All these hormones work together. So you're not just optimizing for one hormone doing all this. You're optimizing for all the hormones when you're doing these things. So just remember that. SHBG. SHBG comes from adequate iron levels. You can't have too much. You can't have too little. If you have too much ferritin or you have too much iron through your diet, like too much red meat, or you're using a cast iron skillet twice a day, that was a big thing with my second test, was because I was using an iron skillet almost twice a day and my iron levels were so high. So I had to decrease that because I was just getting too much iron in my diet. If you're having too much iron, that will increase your SHBG, which will combat your free testosterone. So making sure that you're not doing too much iron skillet, because you don't want to have too much iron. That can also lead to just lower energy in general. Also, a balance of carbs to proteins. No over consuming protein. If you're consuming too much protein, where you're having, 250 grams of protein and then, 75 grams of carbs, your SHBG is going to be too high. And that's because you're also not optimizing for your thyroid in that proportions as well. If you're having 250 grams of protein, then you're having 75 grams of carbs. That's not optimal for your thyroid, because your thyroid can only use glucose. It can't use, what is it going to do protein with? Protein, if you're on a carnivore diet, yeah, if you're having a ton of butter and a bunch of fats and protein, it will make a little bit of glucose. It will make a little bit from the liver, will be able to make a little bit from the protein and fats, but it's not going to be nearly as efficient as, fruits, potatoes, honey. So you got to make sure you have that balance of carbs to protein. And then anything that might be damaging your liver will increase your SHBG. Alcohol, Accutane, all of these things can lower your liver productivity from actually converting these things and actually increase your SHBG. I think a huge reason my SHBG was also high is because I had to take Accutane for 2 years. Accutane plus alcohol, what I was doing was damaging my liver. It fucked up something in my liver that made my liver make more SHBG. So that's a little why it was also pretty high, because my liver was already fucked up from taking Accutane. So you got to make sure that you're optimizing for your liver health. This is why you should never be drinking. This is why you can't be doing, any of these bullshit supplements, because if you supplement zinc, you deplete your copper levels and then your liver's not functioning properly. So you got to know these things. And that's why, supplementing things can actually be bad for hormones like this. And then after I started to, understand all these things with hormones, this is where I actually took a huge jump in my physique, right? This is why I'm able, a lot of you guys see me eating the sourdough cookies. You see me eating the butter dates, the pasta, and this is the best I've ever looked. Why is it? Because I'm eating these foods and, I'm doing sprints. I'm not going on runs and all that. It's because I understand how to optimize my hormones. When you understand how to optimize each hormone and what carbs are going to do to the body, what these micronutrients, what this cholesterol is going to do to the body, you're going to feel 10 times better and you're going to look 10 times better. But you have to understand these processes, because when you understand the processes, that's what's going to get you more results. The people who have the knowledge are going to be able to use the knowledge to get more jacked and shredded. So when you learn this stuff, apply it so you understand, okay, I know that I need to have carbs into my diet to make sure that my thyroid is optimizing or, producing the right hormones so that my metabolism is good and my testosterone is also congruent with that. True optimization isn't just I've talked about testmaxxing for a while. It's not just about testosterone. It's also about the thyroid. Adding more carbs to your diet, more freedom, yet more discipline. You guys see me eat the sourdough bread, the potatoes, all this stuff. I have more freedom, but yet I'm more disciplined. I eat, variety of carbs. I go out for walks, I sprint, I do all this stuff. My energy's better. I'm more aesthetic, but I'm also more athletic. So the best advice that I can give all you guys is to truly optimize for these things. You also have to be moving more. Today, I went to do sprints. I was doing some muscle ups, and then I also went and played spike ball. I burned a shit ton of calories today, so I can eat a bunch of calories. But if you're not moving a lot, you can't eat a lot of calories. And that's where the body thrives. The body thrives when you can move more and eat more, because that's how humans were meant to live. You move all day, you do some low cortisol stuff, maybe you hunt for food, but you eat a lot of food, right? That's how the human body was meant to work. But if you're sitting around, you only get 8,000 steps, you try to starve yourself to combat with that, your hormones are going to be suppressed and you're going to feel like shit. So that's where true optimization lives, is moving more, but also eating more. Additional implementations that, I've kind of talked to you guys about adding. The air purifier is something that I recently added that has been a game changer. Just having an air purifier in my room, there's no toxins, there's no dust. It's definitely way better because rooms already are artificial. Like, you would want natural air. So just making sure that there's no dust or bullshit in your room is a huge thing. The barefoot shoes, no salt. Ever since I cut out salt in my diet, I felt way better, felt way more hydrated. So cutting out salt is just another big thing. Clean carbs like sourdough and pasta, when you actually earn it. When you do more step, maybe you do a 20,000 step day. Okay, add some sourdough, add some pasta, speed up the thyroid. Maybe you go for a sprint day and you work out. Maybe you were more active that day. Have more clean carbs. That's the positive reinforcement that you have to actually optimize your hormones, but to still get shredded, because that's the hack. The clean juices as well, the orange juice, the watermelon juice. These things, I just killed this. This is a watermelon juice right here. I drank this whole thing in less than 10 minutes because I just played spike ball for an hour. So when you understand that you can burn these calories and drink them, or, add them back, that's only going to help your hormones. A lot of people think it's going to hurt, but it's going to help. And missing out on the thyroid hormone. Metabolism mogs everything. For years, I reduced my carbs, and I thought this would lead to more leanness. And it will lead to more leanness, but it will lead to higher stress and slow down some hormones. And when you do that, that's going to get you shredded in the short term, but that's not going to make you feel good. Like, a lot of you guys, or not a lot of you guys, some of you guys, I have you guys on a little lower carbs, because you got to understand in the short term, you need to get shredded so that you can start doing these things in the back end to then optimize your hormones. Because if you're not at 10, 12% body fat, it doesn't matter what food you're eating. You're still fucking up your hormones because your body's not in that optimal body fat. Like, humans for decades would always be 10, 12% body fat. Centuries. Like, all of our ancestors were always lean because they were moving a lot and they never ate bullshit in their life. So that's why you have to be 10, 12% body fat. And the last thing that I want to say with metabolism is the difference between glucose and fructose. Glucose is absorbed in the small intestines into the bloodstream. It leads to an increase in blood sugar. Now, fructose does not raise blood sugar or trigger release of insulin. So that's why after the gym, when I talk about, spiking your insulin, you can't be having a fruit that's just straight fructose, because it's not going to spike your insulin. You need a higher glucose carb. You need like an orange juice, or you need potatoes, or like sourdough, because that glucose is going to spike your insulin and actually put you in a more anabolic state. So when you understand how the hormones work in that way, then you're going to optimize your diet even more. Glucose is ideal post-workout. Sourdough bread, like I said before, potatoes, orange juice. Orange juice still has fructose, but it's higher in glucose. These are going to be good post-workout. Fructose is ideal right before the gym, because you don't want an insulin spike before the gym, because your body is going to start going into recovery mode, but you want to be into workout mode. So you need to have fructose before the gym. So that's like watermelon juice, watermelon, even some cantaloupe. Pineapple has a lot of fructose. These are going to be the things ideal right before the gym. So understand that as well. That way you can optimize pre and post workout to truly optimize your hormones and get the best recovery possible. But that's basically a breakdown of every single hormone. So now I'm just going to open it up to you guys for questions, because I'm sure I just went over a lot. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions.
So, like, with my job and everything as a firefighter, I know sleep is like a major thing, in hormones and thyroid. Like, I'm doing my best on my off days, but like, how much is my sleep like getting interrupted during the night and stuff to go on calls? how much is that going to be detrimental to what we're doing and working on through the program?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing when it comes to sleep, when your sleep isn't optimized, is listen to your body. So if your body's like, okay, I feel like I need to sleep right now, and it's not your mind, but your body, because that's probably going to be the only thing that's really lacking is the body recovery when your sleep is really out of sync. So if you feel like you know, maybe it's a random day and you just need to like take a nap or something because you feel like that way, I would do it, because that's probably your body telling you just need like a little bit more sleep to be in line with how much recovery you actually need, because you're not in line with the circadian rhythm when you're at work. So the sleep that you get that day after isn't going to, say you sleep, 12 hours during the day. Sleeping 12 hours during the day is probably equivalent to like 6 hours during circadian rhythm. Because when you sleep during the circadian rhythm, that's when your hormones are optimized. So if you're out of line, you got to make sure that you're kind of making up for it based on how your body reacts to that.
Okay, thank you. That makes more sense. Yeah.
So I would just try to like listen. If you feel like, oh, you need a nap or something, take it, because that's probably your body telling you like, yo, you need more sleep.
Yeah. On my days off, I'm averaging like 8 to 10 hours of sleep, just because on my days off, I know I need more sleep. So I'll typically get 8 to 10, but yeah, when I'm on shifts, I may get 4, I may get 3, max probably 5 or 6.
I know you're like drinking like a lot of juices and stuff. If someone's like on in a deficit, would you say to like eat like just the fruit itself rather than juices?
Yeah, I would say if your goal is fat loss, eating the fruit is just going to do you more of a benefit, because it's going to make you more full. So if you're trying to lose fat, like I could drink the amount of watermelon juice I just drank, I could eat 4 slices of a watermelon and get way less calories and sugar and be more full. So I would say eating the fruit definitely is a little bit more optimal if you're trying to shred body fat.
Okay, got you. Appreciate it.
Yo, Nathan, I was gonna ask, what's DHT?
DHT is a derivative of testosterone. So DHT is an important hormone because it's what makes your voice lower. It's what makes you allowed to grow a beard. It's what also a lot of people think, oh, if you have higher DHT, that causes balding. No, higher DHT actually results in less balding. You want to make sure that you have high DHT to make sure that you're not balding or you don't go bald. This is why like the Native Americans, they had the highest DHT and they had, full sets of hair. So that if that was the case, they would be bald. So having higher DHT is just a very optimal hormone that you want to have. And the biggest thing is, you've probably seen people, other maybe like looks maxers or something, like they talk about like prey face and hunter face. Like the people with higher DHT, animals in nature, the animals that had like higher DHT are all like predators. They're not prey. When you have higher DHT, you're going to be more of a predator than prey. That's kind of like what I think of the hormone DHT. It's what optimizes your facial structure and your bone density and all this stuff. So making sure that you have high DHT is very important. And that just comes with having higher testosterone. Yeah, DHT will improve muscular traits as well, because if you have higher DHT, you're going to have higher androgens. So you need to make sure that you're always increasing your testosterone and you're optimizing for DHT. And the biggest thing is honestly going out in the sun. Your environment will increase your DHT. Cutting out all the estrogens, that's what's really going to increase your DHT the most.
Yo, Nathan, I had a question about sleep. So I've been using like blackout curtains, which is like making it super dark. But I used to always sleep with an open window, and I felt like having the fresh air was always good. But my new apartment, like it's a little bit noisy, like the street. Do you think it's better to like keep the window open or close it?
I would say keep it closed, but I wouldn't do the blackout curtain. And the reason why is I don't have any blackout curtains in here, and I'm almost grateful, because every single morning at 8:30, it wakes me up, just the sunlight. And I feel way more energized compared to my last place that I was sleeping at. And it had blackout curtains, and I would sleep till 10:30, 11 every single day. Not every single day, but some days I'd sleep that late just because it was so dark in the room and my body thinks, oh, I can sleep more, I can recover more. And it's actually, you're going to be lower energy in the morning when you're in a really dark room because, bro, it's dark. You don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, just take your blackout curtain off, but I want to open the window because artificial noise like that is definitely going to fuck up the sleep.
Yeah, it kind of has been last couple days. So.
Yeah, so I would just take do you get like a lot of artificial light through your window at night? That's the only thing that I'd say you do.
I get like a shit ton. That's actually why I put up the blackout curtains. Because there's just a lot of like fluorescent like light poles that are coming through. It's
I would say, in that case, then I would keep it. I would maybe try to.
I can kind of like see some light through, I guess. And like in the morning, like light does come through. They're not like super thick blackout curtains, so like I think I'm actually pretty good on that front.
Yeah, as long as it's not like completely. Because what I will notice is when it's more light in my room, I just am able to get out of bed way easier.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yo, Nathan, I had one more question. I know you talked about like moving more and eating more and stuff like that. So how many times a week do you think is like the most optimal to like play sports and stuff and like so it doesn't like mess with like your progressive overload in the gym and stuff as well?
I would say you want to kind of feel it out based on your glycogen levels. That's what it's always going to come down to at the end of the day is how much glycogen is in your body. If you're depleted of glycogen, your strength in the gym is going to be way worse. For example, like yesterday I posted some Instagram picture post and the cover photo was me, Dom, and Nick at the gym with a crazy pump. It looks like I'm literally blasting steroids there, but the only reason I look that jacked is because my glycogen is maxed. I took 2 days off before that, got a juicy pump, had a bunch of carbs the night before. My glycogen was maxed. If I went to the gym right now and tried to work out after literally doing sprints, playing spike ball, my workout would be shit. So you want to understand where your muscular glycogen is. And the best way to do that is just one, look at your vascularity because you're going to notice there's going to be some days where you look down at your arms and be like, oh, should I see this vein? Oh, should I see this bicep vein? And there's going to be days where you're like, oh, damn, where's my veins at? I feel flat. If you feel flat, that's low glycogen. So you kind of want to analyze where your glycogen is. So if I'd say a sweet spot for the question that you asked is probably lifting 4 times a week, sports 2 to 3 times a week. If you're doing sports more than 2-3 times a week, you're going to be depleting more of glycogen. It's going to be hard to progressive overload in the gym. The most shredded I was when I was playing sports. But the strongest that I wasn't when I was playing sports. It's always been when I've just been lifting and walking. So it really comes down to what you want to do. If you want to be aesthetic and be, athletic as well and playing sports, you might be only able to lift 2 times a week and do sports 3 times a week. But if you want to be more jacked and shredded, you're going to have to lift 5 times a week and just walk the rest and not play as much sports because sports are just going to deplete your glycogen. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that answers it. Appreciate it.
So I know we're talking about shredding down. You have to have a bunch of movement during our shredding process to get you down to that 10 to 12%. But like once you get there, how much is like too much carbs? Like what is the range that's like optimal for your SBHG and your testosterone? Like what is that optimal number to be at?
Yeah, so it really depends on your height and weight. I would say that's where, like, for me, I'm 6'3", 215. So carbs, unless I'm burning like a shit ton, usually I don't go over like 300, 350 in a day. Say you're like 6 foot, 180. Then I'd say, oh, yeah, you probably don't want to go above, 275, 250 carbs. Maybe you're 5'10", 170, right? Then I'd say, oh, you probably don't want to go above, 240, 250 carbs. Maybe you're, 5'9", like 160. Or maybe you're just 160 overall, like weight-wise. Then probably not above 220. So it kind of comes down to height and weight. So I would say it's kind of like on that scale line. I'd say for you specifically, probably no more than, 240, unless you're moving a lot more. Yeah, and Jordan, you asked, does it depend on activity? Yeah, if you've been eating 300 to 320 carbs and then, you do MMA twice a week, and then you wrestle as well, and then you're lifting, and then you're also doing 20K steps, like, yeah, you're going to need 300 to 320 carbs, because if you're not, your thyroid is going to be very suppressed because it's going to be burning carbs rapidly. And that's the most important thing that you need to be doing, is making sure that you're giving your body the fuel that it needs.
I know you preach about like putting butter in the coffee. What's your opinions on like heavy cream? Like, does it need to be raw or like just
Yeah,
completely avoid
I
it?
would say I would only do raw. I wouldn't do any dairy that's not raw dairy.
Okay.
Because if you do any dairy that's not raw dairy, it doesn't have the enzymes, it doesn't have the bacteria. So even if it feels like it doesn't disrupt your gut, it's still not going to be optimal for your gut, because your gut needs those things to really break it down and be used the way that it needs to be used.
I'm using like organic cream butter because I can't find raw butter here in Texas.
Mhm.
So do I just go black coffee, or do I still use some butter for my
I would just
coffee?
use butter.
Okay. All right.
It's not raw cream.
No, I get raw milk, but they don't have raw butter at the farm.
I would just maybe
So
add some raw milk to the coffee.
okay, yeah, that does. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go do that. Okay. All right, thank you.
That'd probably be a better replacement.
All right, sounds good.
Reed, what were you asking?
I know you talked about like glucose versus fructose, but what would you say are the best fruits for like optimal thyroid function? Like if you had to pick a couple.
Oranges for sure. Pineapple is pretty good because it has like a specific enzyme like bromelain, which is actually better for your thyroid, and I think it unoxidizes your cells more, so the mitochondria work better. So also pineapple is pretty good. I like the watermelon juice, but I think watermelon is mainly fructose. You kind of want that good balance. Like pineapple and oranges are going to be the best for sure.
Okay.
I like cantaloupe too, though.
Mm-hmm.
But cantaloupe's kind of in the same department as watermelon. And the last part of this course is going to be your mindset, right? Because when you have a high test mindset, you can achieve anything. Testosterone isn't specifically just about eating healthier. It's not specifically about the lifestyle or optimizing each hormone individually. It's about everything. It's about how you do everything. The diet, the lifestyle, the routines, cutting out the bullshit, the mindset you adapt to truly achieve anything that you want. Because that's the mindset that you need to have, is that you are capable of being that guy who's 200 pounds lean with 1,000 testosterone. That you are that guy with 100K a month business or $1 million a month business. That you are that guy. I wake up every single morning believing that I'm that guy. Because when I have that belief in my mind, it creates energy. And you can't do all these things and have energy if your mind is suppressive. If your mind suppresses where you actually want to be, how are you ever going to get there? Because you're always going to hold yourself back with that belief system. And that was something that I used to struggle with for a long time, is that I didn't believe that I could get the results that I wanted, that I could achieve the physique that I wanted, that I could have 300,000 followers on Instagram or, 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. I didn't believe that because I never saw the vision. But you have to see the vision, and the only way to see the vision is with consistency and momentum. When you are consistent and when you are creating that momentum every single day based on your inputs, you're going to be so hyped and you're going to see where you're going to go and you're never going to want to stop. But a lot of you guys never create that momentum. You never take that next step and you never take any action. And that's why your belief system is fucked up. And if you never take any action and actually progress forward every single day with the inputs that you do, you're never going to achieve that. Or you're never going to have the physical belief of actually achieving that. That's why belief and action go hand in hand. And I can give you the best information possible about every single hormone, about my journey specifically, about anything. But if you don't apply it, nothing matters because you're never going to get that momentum. You're never going to take action, and then you're never going to create that belief system. And that's exactly what you need on a daily basis to truly go to the next level, because that's what worked for me. That's how I was able to, graduate college, start this business, and perfect this business in less than a 3-year span, because I had high testosterone. But a lot of you guys want to do the same thing, but you never take action and increase your testosterone. The reason I'm able to live in Florida and move out of my parents' crib and buy the car that I want and live the life that I want, pay for all the dinners that I want, take my girl to wherever I want to go, is because of high testosterone. You will be able to achieve whatever you want in your life if you get your test up. I can guarantee you that. Because when you are higher test, you are more competitive. And a lot of you guys are too low test right now. You aren't competitive enough. You aren't pushing yourself enough. You're not in a hyper competitive environment to force you to grow. Because competition and high test environment forces you to grow. And a lot of you guys have been at the same spot for such a long time. Maybe you've been working your 9-to-5 job for 15 years and you know that you can do better, but you haven't done anything because it's not bad. Maybe you've had an okay physique, but you haven't increased the inputs because you're not fat. Or maybe you could dial in your diet more, but your hormones aren't terrible, so you're not going to do it. It's like, stop looking at where the floor is and start rising to your ceiling every single day. The inputs that you have to do. Because if you start rising to your new level, that is what will take you to the next level. That is what will force you to grow. Every step of the way on my journey, I forced growth through my environment, through my inputs, through my mindset, because I believed. When you believe and you do the inputs, you will get there. But a lot of you guys are lazy. You're not disciplined. You fall off time to time. You're never going to achieve your goals doing that bullshit. It's time to wake up. You saw my journey. You see my clients' journeys on my Instagram every single day. You hear about it, but you're not the one who's making progress. You're the one on the bleachers waiting for someone else to make a move or analyze their move, but you're not doing shit. You're just watching. You're just taking notes. Take action. Get in the game. Because watching from the sideline will only get you so far. You need to be in the game taking action every single day. Because if you do that, that's when your testosterone will increase. You can learn along the way. You can optimize. You can have other people teach you how to optimize. You can learn from other people. But if you are never in the game, none of that shit will ever happen. And that's why it took me so long to actually progress after I graduated school, because I was never in the game. I was just watching. I was watching all these influencers. I was watching all these guys have high testosterone, really perfect their health. And I was just watching until I took action and was like, okay, I'm actually going to better my health, better my testosterone, become the man that I want to be. That's when I started to see changes, because I took action, and then things changed. But nothing ever changes if you never take action. I will tell you that right now. And if you guys are looking for one-on-one coaching to level up your mindset, increase your testosterone, optimize your hormones, take your physique to the next level, and to become the best version of yourself, that is the goal, the best version of yourself, book a call with me in the link in the description of this video, and I will see if you're a good fit for my one-on-one coaching program. But aside from that, guys, this is the end of the 1 hour and 30-minute masterclass. It might be a little bit longer because I've been talking for a little long. Only wanted to make this like a minute or two, but been talking for a little while now. But that's the video, right? You just watch an 1.5-hour video. Maybe you skipped along. Maybe you just skipped to right here. Go back and watch it, bro. Maybe your dopamine receptors don't have that in you to watch the full video. But if you're watching this now and you skip to it, or maybe you just saw this part of the end and you're like, oh, what is he saying? Go back and watch. Because valuable information will change your life. It truly will. Because when I hired mentors and they taught me valuable information and I implemented it, guess what? My life changed. I can give you all the value that you want, but if you don't make any changes, you aren't going to get anywhere, bro. You're going to be the exact same person with the exact same physique, with the exact same income, because you haven't made any changes. You're being low test and you don't do anything about it. Make a change and better your life, because once you start to make those changes, You're going to be like, oh, wow, that was worth it. But if you never take action and make those changes, all you're going to live with is regret. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, back in the day, I used to be rejected. Shut the fuck up. No one cares. Where are you right now and where are you going to be in the next year, 2 years, 5 years? That's all that matters.